Boi. Come. Bashalan. In the peace. Atele. Putting crown on. Byler. Her husband. Boi Kailar. Come bride. This is a beautiful Hebrew wedding song, as if the angels in heaven are calling for the bride who has been waiting for 6,000 years to stand up bravely and put on the crown of glory for the coming King of Heaven.
大家好，欢迎来到以诺谈天节目。今天我们继续谈雅各的故事，第8部分。耶稣解经流活水，以诺模式再显明。拉结显遭神像祸，拉班穷追雅各家。上几回书我们讲到，两足在利百加的肚子里。我们还细谈了雅各与以扫名字的意义。雅各用红豆汤骗到了长子名分，雅各骗祝福，这两个骗都是双引号，指地上人的眼光。我们谈了雅各双婚，姐妹争风吃醋，雅各诡计聚钱财，拉班贪心失改心。好，我们下面就谈拉结显遭神像祸，拉班穷追雅各家。
Hello everyone, welcome to Enoch Talk Show. Today we continue the story of Jacob, part 8. Jesus interprets the scriptures like flowing living water, and Enoch rediscovered these in the Doomsdays. Rachel was in danger of an idol, and Laban chased after Jacob's family. In the last few parts we talked about the two nations are in the belly of Rebekah. We also went into detail about the meaning of the names Jacob and Esau. Jacob deceived the birthright with red bean soup. Jacob cheated the blessing. These two cheats are double quotation marks, referring to the eyes of people on earth. We talked about Jacob's double marriage and sister's jealousy. Jacob's scheme and Laban's 10 times altered Jacob's wages. Now let us talk about Rachel was in danger of an idol, and Laban chased after Jacob's family.
我们再次来谈耶稣解经，也许你会说，你是谁？又没有见过耶稣，怎么会知道耶稣解经？其实每一个以诺团队的人都会做以诺做的，就是直接与上帝连接，最终才会得到上帝特别的恩赐，就是耶稣说的隐藏着的玛拿，这才是你登方舟的凭据，没有这特别的玛，你连方舟都进不了。这就告诉那说没见过耶稣就不该知道耶稣解经的人，你还是回去坚守好你教会的教条，才是耶稣说的，其他都是邪教。好好像呆子那样待在那里，等你盼望的假耶稣来带你去地狱。为什么？很简单，方舟里每一个人都是他们眼里的异端邪说，哪个不与大家有益的，就会被赶出方舟。你说这样的人在我们团队里能待得下一天，还是待回去吧？上帝把嘛哪分给每一个要进方舟的人，最终大家都带着自己的独特见解，在方舟里把上帝的全盘计划都显明。你说我们能不赢吗？也就是说，我们读妥拉圣经只有一个目的，那就是寻找出逃离大灾难的路。如果你是待在那里的，进来做啥？就算告诉你逃生的路，也是翻白眼。
Let's talk about Jesus' way of interpretation of the Torah again. Maybe you will say, who are you? You have never seen Jesus, how can you know Jesus' way of interpretation? In fact, everyone in the Enoch team will do what Enoch does, that is, directly connect with God, and finally get the special gift of God, which is what Jesus said, the hidden manna. This will be the proof that you will be the one who was allowed to board the Doomsday Ark. Without this special manna, you can't even enter the Ark. This tells those who say, you shouldn't know Jesus' interpretation of the Torah if you haven't seen Jesus. You should just go back and stick to the dogma of your church. That's what Jesus said, as the church has claimed, and everything else is a cult. Stay in your church like a nerd waiting for the false Jesus you hope to come and take you to hell. Why? It's very simple. Everyone in the ark is a heresy in these nerds' eyes, and whoever offer not different insights from everyone will be expelled from the ark. You said, such a person, in our team, can stay for the next day. Get out our way. God distributes manna to everyone who wants to enter the ark. In the end, everyone brings their own unique opinions and reveals distinguished part of God's overall plan in the ark. Do you think we cannot win after seeing God's whole plan? That is to say, we are reading the Torah for only one purpose, and that is to find a way to escape the Great Tribulation. If you are staying in the dogma of your church, why are you here in the Doomsday Ark? Even if we tell you the way to escape, you will roll your eyes and disbelieved.
圣经中满是逃生的路，比如说抓住以扫后脚跟，就是告诉以色列人抓住以诺团队的这一小群人。再比如说，以色列国建立71年开始，上帝就减少亚当家的祝福，而继续把祝福给雅各家，也就是以色列家与亚当家的雅各。这就是为什么2019年底开始，全世界一年不如一年，却是我们要去求财富的，当然是为了完成上帝使命的财富。当然，最终上帝会在一瞬间成就我们的，就像出埃及记击杀长子的第二天，当然是最终小脚顶翻大脚们，也就是财富、智慧、能力，方方面面超过亚当家的骄傲们。这些都得你明白读经法之后，才会不断发现嘛，不断的增强信心，最终我们集体如一个肩膀腾飞。好，我们再解释一个地方。经文，圣灵向众教会所说的话，凡有耳的就应当听。得胜的，我必将那隐藏的吗哪赐给他，并赐他一块白石，石上写着新名，除了那领受的以外，没有人能认识。启示录2章17节和合本，并且那地的金子是好的，在那里又有珍珠和红玛瑙。创世纪2章12节和合本。
The Bible is full of escape routes, such as grabbing Esau's heels, telling the Israelites to grab this small group of Enoch's team. For another example, starting from the 71st year since the establishment of the nation of Israel, God reduced the blessings of the Adam family and continued to give blessings to the Jacob family, that is, the Israel family. The Adam family will experience wealth degrade year by year. But we, Israelites, are going to seek wealth. Of course, these wealth are for us to complete God's mission. However, we need to remember that God will eventually accomplish us in the last instant, just like the morning after the killing of the eldest son of Egyptians in Exodus. Of course, this is also referred to that the little horn in Doomsday overturned many big horns, which will be in aspects of wealth, wisdom, and power. Little horn, i.e., Jacob, will surpass the prides of Adam's house in every respect. After you understand the method of reading the scriptures, you will continue to discover manna and increase your confidence. Eventually, we can collectively take off like one wing or one shoulder. Okay, let's explain one more place. Scripture. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes I will give some of the hidden manna to eat. And I will give him a white stone, and on the stone a new name written which no one knows except him who receives it. Revelation 2 verse 17 NKJV. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and the onyx stone are there. Genesis 2 verse 12 NKJV.
这两章是不是毫无关系？可当你接触到原文，那珍珠原来是 Bethilach， 是分开北斗双腿健全的 Chet， 而玛瑙原来是 Hazelham 石头 Eben， 指那 He 名 Shem。希望你现在明白我们网页的名字，也是以诺团队的名字的意义。玛利安，摩西姐姐名字，既指受苦的，又指上帝喜爱的，指亚当家回头浪子。Hashem 就是只有白石的，分开罪与洁净的，上帝万王组成的石篱笆。 珍珠和红玛瑙就是指分开的、带有名字的石头，实际上就是分开碎的、万王组成的石头。要知道，上帝的地方一切都是活的，橄榄树是活的，金灯台是活的，石头也是活的。你现在明白雅各枕着的那石头了吧？最终他浇油在上面。所以我们亚当家是因着以色列家而活着，因着以色列家而蒙双倍的福，我们有啥资格去责备他们？当大灾难的开始，我们会有一段时间学习以色列人的读经法，他们也会学耶稣的读经法，那时候才会真正把经文里我们需要活命的都搞懂。等我们一切都就绪后，父神才会把我们放进试炼中去。所以常听以诺谈天说地，就是给大家最后速成的一个推动，当然最终也是推动我们，因为上帝会有特别祝福。回到雅各，我们看经文是如何描述雅各逃跑的。
Are these two chapters unrelated? But when you come to the original text, that pearl turns out to be betelach, which is chet, with separate betel, legs, and agate, turns out to be hasoham, stone ebon, referring to the hay, name Shem. I hope you now understand the meaning of the name of our website and the name of the Enoch team. Miriam, the name of Moses' sister, refers both to the suffering, to the beloved of God, and to the prodigal son of Adam's family. Heshem is the stone fence of the white stone, which separates sin from cleanliness, God's kings. The pearl and the onyx are the ones that separate and bear the name, the stone, which is actually the one that separates sin, the stone of kings. You must know in God's place, everything is alive, the olive tree is alive, the golden lampstand is alive, the stone is also alive. Do you now understand the stone on which Jacob rested? In the end he poured oil on it? Therefore, our family of Adam lives because of the family of Israel, and we are double blessed because of the family of Israel, and we have no right to blame them, but thank them. When the Great Tribulation will begin, we will have a period of time to learn the Israelites' method, and they will also learn the Jesus method. Only then will we truly understand everything in the scriptures that we need to be alive in Doomsday. After we are all ready, God the Father will put us into the testing, so by listening to Enoch talk about things in heaven is to give everyone a final push to enter the ark. Of course in return, you will push us as well, because God will have special blessings, special manna for you to bless our team. Going back to Jacob, let's see how the scriptures describe Jacob's flight.
雅各起来，使他的儿子和妻子都骑上骆驼，又带着他在巴旦、亚兰所得的一切牲畜和财物，往迦南的他父亲以撒那里去了。当时拉班剪羊毛去了，拉结偷了他父亲家中的神像。雅各背着亚兰人拉班偷走了，并不告诉他，就带着所有的逃跑。他起身过大河，面向基列山行去。到第3日，有人告诉拉班，雅各逃跑了。拉班带领他的众弟兄去追赶，追了7日，在基列山就追上了。夜间，神到亚兰人拉班那里，在梦中对他说：“你要小心，不可与雅各说好说歹。”拉班追上雅各，雅各在山上支搭帐篷，拉班和他的众弟兄也在基列山上支搭帐篷。拉班对雅各说：“你做的是什么事呢？你背着我偷走了，又把我的女儿们带了去，如同用刀剑掳去的一般。你为什么暗暗的逃跑，偷着走，并不告诉我，叫我可以欢乐、唱歌、击鼓、弹琴的送你回去？又不容我与外孙和女儿亲嘴。你所行的真是愚昧。我手中原有能力害你，只是你父亲的。神昨夜对我说，你要小心，不可与雅各说好说歹。现在你虽然想你父家，不得不去，为什么又偷了我的神像呢？”雅各回答拉班说：“恐怕你把你的女儿从我夺去，所以我逃跑。至于你的神像，你在谁那里搜出来，就不容谁存活。当着我们的众弟兄，你认一认，在我这里有什么东西是你的，就拿去。”原来雅各不知道拉结偷了那些神像， 拉班进了雅各、利亚并2个使女的帐篷，都没有搜出来，就从利亚的帐篷出来，进了拉结的帐篷。拉结已经把神像藏在骆驼的驼楼里，便坐在上头。拉班摸遍了那帐篷，并没有摸着。拉结对他父亲说：“现在我身上不便，不能在你面前起来，求我主不要生气。”这样，拉班搜寻神像，竟没有搜出来。雅各就发怒斥责拉班说：“我有什么过犯，有什么罪恶？你竟这样火速地追我！你摸遍了我一切的家具，你搜出什么来呢？可以放在你我弟兄面前，叫他们在你我中间辨别辨别。我在你家这20年，你的母绵羊、母山羊没有掉过胎，你群中的公羊我没有吃过，被野兽撕裂的我没有带来给你，是我自己赔上。无论是白日是黑夜，被偷去的，你都向我索要。我白日受尽干热，黑夜受尽寒霜，不得合眼睡着，我常是这样。我这20年在你家里，为你的2个女儿服侍你14年，为你的羊群服侍你6年，你又14改了我的工价。若不是我父亲以撒所敬畏的神，就是亚伯拉罕的神与我同在，你如今必定打发我空手而去。神看见我的苦情和我的劳碌，就在昨夜责备你。拉班回答雅各说：“这女儿是我的女儿，这些孩子是我的孩子，这些羊群也是我的羊群，凡在你眼前的都是我的。我的女儿并他们所生的孩子，我今日能向他们做什么呢？来吧，你我2人可以立约，做你我中间的证据。”雅各就拿一块石头立作柱子，又对众弟兄说：“你们堆聚石头。”他们就拿石头来堆成一堆，大家便在旁边吃喝。拉班称那石堆为伊加尔、撒哈杜塔，雅各却称那石堆为加累德，都是以石堆为证的意思。拉班说：“今日这石堆做你我中间的证据。”因此这地方名叫加累德，又叫米斯巴，意思说我们彼此离别以后，愿耶和华在你我中间鉴察。你若苦待我的女儿，又在我的女儿以外另娶妻，虽没有人知道，却有神在你我中间做见证。拉班又说：“你看我在你我中间所立的这石堆和柱子，这石堆做证据，这柱子也做证据。我避不过这石堆去害你，你也不可过这石堆和柱子来害我。但愿亚伯拉罕的神和拿鹤的神，就是他们父亲的神，在你我中间判断。”雅各就指着他父亲以撒所敬畏的神起誓，又在山上献祭，请众弟兄来吃饭。他们吃了饭，便在山上住宿。拉班清早起来，与他外孙和女儿亲嘴，给他们祝福，回往自己的地方去了。
31:17-55 Then Jacob rose and set his sons and his wives on camels. And he carried away all his livestock and all his possessions which he had gained, his acquired livestock which he had gained in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the household idols that were her father's. And Jacob stole away, unknown to Laban the Syrian, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. So he fled with all that he had. He arose and crossed the river, and headed toward the mountains of Gilead. And Laban was told on the 3rd day that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But God had come to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, "Be careful that you speak to Jacob in neither good nor bad." So Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done, that you have stolen away unknown to me, and carried away my daughters like captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and not tell me? For I might have sent you away with joy and songs, with timbrel and harp. And you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters." Now you have done foolishly in so doing. It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad. And now you have surely gone because you greatly long for your father's house, but why did you steal my gods? Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Perhaps you would take your daughters from me by force. With whomever you find your gods, do not let him live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have of yours and take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the two maids' tents, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols, put them in the camel's saddle, and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise before you, for the manner of women is with me. And he searched but did not find the household idols. Then Jacob was angry and rebuked Laban, and Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that you have so hotly pursued me? Although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, that they may judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you, your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by beasts I did not bring to you, I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was. In the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus I have been in your house 20 years, I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac, had been with me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock, all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters or to their children whom they have borne? Now therefore, come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. Laban called it Jegar-sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between you and me this day. Therefore its name was called Galeed, also Mizpah, because he said, May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent one from another. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Then Laban said to Jacob, Here is this heap and here is this pillar, which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and you will not pass beyond this heap and this pillar to me, for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, and the God of their father judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountain. And early in the morning Laban arose, and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. Genesis 31 verses 17 to 55 NKJV。
第一，雅各为什么偷跑？从对话我们就知道，如果雅各当着拉班的面强行离开，拉班必杀雅各，而把全家留在自己家里。当雅各跑掉，拉班追来，上帝就有时间去警告拉班，你不可对雅各下手。拉班带你们多人追上来，是要杀雅各的。要是告辞， 一个人就够了，因为这么多人吃喝都是大开销，吝啬的拉班是不会做亏本的买卖的，所以当事完成之后，他和他带的人还是大吃雅各一顿才离开的。拉结这次犯了一个巨大的错误，也是预示着他后面的错误，才使得他最终在天庭痛哭流涕，因为他的孩子们不在了。当时的神像是死人头颅做的，用块金属片放在嘴上，供在家里，包上金就活了。家里有啥大事都可以问神像，所以这肯定是魔鬼的把戏。
First question, why did Jacob sneak away? From the dialogue, we know that if Jacob had forcibly left in front of Laban, Laban would have killed Jacob and kept the whole family in his own. When Jacob ran away and Laban chased after him, God had time to warn Laban that he could not attack Jacob. Laban brought many strong men to kill Jacob. If Laban had come to farewell Jacob, then he would have come himself. One person for farewell is enough. Because there were so many people, food and drink would become a big expense, and the stingy Laban would not make a loss-making business. So after the event is completed, he and men he brought with him still had a big feast from Jacob and then left. Rachel made a huge mistake this time, and it also foreshadowed the mistake in her afterlives, and she will eventually end up crying in heaven because her children were all gone. At that time, this false god idol was made of dead people's heads, put a piece of metal in their mouths, offered them at home, covered them with gold, and this piece became alive. If the family had any important matters at home, they could ask the idol. So, it must be the devil's trick.
当拉班发现雅各不在了，就去问自己家的神像，雅各哪里去了？却发现神像不见了，这就有杀雅各的理由，因为你偷了最值钱的东西。他赶忙跑隔壁家，问了隔壁家的神像，就知道雅各往哪里去了，也就赶了上来。我们知道雅各应该是敬虔的，绝不会允许这事发生，所以罪不在雅各。拉结也是好心，以为只要偷走神像，拉班就不会知道雅各下落，他们就安全了。谁想到隔壁就又可以问神像了。拉结对上帝能保护雅各信心不足，才犯此等低级错误的。这对他后来一生，后来圣母玛利亚的一生都有极大的影响，也可以说是上帝通过拉结的行为，告诉我们为什么几十亿基督徒最终失落的。
When Laban found out that Jacob was gone, he went to ask the idol in his house, "Where did Jacob go?" But he found that the idol was gone. Now he had an excuse to kill Jacob, because Jacob stole the most valuable thing in the house. He hurriedly ran to the next house and asked about the idol of the next house. He knew where Jacob was going, and he caught up. We know that Jacob was supposed to be godly and would never have allowed this to happen, so it's not Jacob's fault. Rachel did this also for protecting Jacob, thinking that as long as she stole the idol, Laban would not know Jacob's whereabouts and they would be safe. Whoever thought of Laban could go to the next door and would be able to ask about their idol. Rachel's lack of confidence in God's ability to protect Jacob led her to such a low-level error. This had a great influence on her later lives. Later on during the life of the Virgin Mary, God will show us through Rachel's actions, billions of Christians will be lost in the Doomsday.
当然，基督徒没什么不好，我们中间90%以上都是从那里出来的，但损失99%真的不应该。拉结的行为直接导致了他自己难产死亡，生便雅悯难产而死，而且死前他看见后代的结局。我们看经文，便雅悯出生在从伯特利到以法他的路上，以法他就是伯利恒。拉结生他的时候难产而死，死前给他儿子起名叫便俄尼，意思是忧患之子。他父亲却给他起名叫便雅悯，意思是右手之子。创世纪35章15至18节。
Of course, there is nothing wrong with Christians, more than 90% of us came from there, but losing 99% really shouldn't be. Rachel's behavior directly led to her own death in childbirth, and she gave birth to Benjamin and died in childbirth, and she saw the outcome of her offspring before she died. Let's look at the scriptures. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spoke with him, Bethel. Then they journeyed from Bethel. And when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath, Rachel labored in childbirth, and she had hard labor. Now it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, you will have this son also." And so it was, as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin. Genesis 35 verses 15 to 18 NKJV。
母亲看见的是绝大多数后代，而父亲看见的是最主目的上帝大能的右手。雅各祝福便雅悯的话语中，我们知道便雅悯支派会出好的狼，上帝的狼，比如说以利亚，以斯帖中的末底改，也会出撒旦的狼，比如说扫罗王。如果几十亿基督徒失落在地狱里，圣母与保罗，也就是便雅悯支派的扫罗，逃得了干系吗？保罗没有见过耶稣，只是在被召时灵里感应，他所知道的耶稣，绝大多数是从圣母玛利亚来的。我们以后在谈天节目里会提到，很多新约圣经里的故事是被人添油加醋过，有的应该是从圣母来的，有的是君士坦丁的老婆来的，所以以利亚要洁净这些。我们看历史上的圣母是不是坐在神像上了？再加上便雅悯支派的保罗护驾，我们能明白拉结这里启示的。
What the mother sees is the fate of vast majority of her offspring, and what the father sees is the fate of a small group of the most remarkable, the God's might right hand. In Jacob's words of blessing Benjamin, we know that the tribe of Benjamin will produce good wolves, God's wolves, such as Elijah and Mordecai in Esther. There will also be Satan's wolves, such as King Saul. If billions of Christians are lost in hell, will Mother Mary and Paul, the Saul of the tribe of Benjamin, escape responsibility? Paul had never seen Jesus, but only had an inspiration when he was recruited. Most of things about Jesus he knew came from the Virgin Mary. Some must have come from the Virgin Mary, some came from Constantine's wife, so Elijah should cleanse them. When we look at the Virgin Mary in history, has she been sitting on the statue of false god, with Paul of the Benjamin tribe escorting her? Can we understand what Rachel has revealed here?
好，回到雅各，脱离了老丈人的狼穴，却想不到就要落入以扫的虎口，这其中的缘由却让人无法接受。亚萨尔书描述道，当拉班离开雅各之后，他自己是直接回家，可他没有忘记要击杀雅各，所以派心腹之人跑以扫那里去，把雅各如何坏都说给以扫听。以扫一听就火了，马上带领400人，好家伙，是雅各的5倍还多，急匆匆地赶来要杀雅各。拉班的计划是，雅各死了，他就可以接女儿一家回去。当然他也知道，在杀死雅各过程中，自己女儿们、外孙们都会遭殃，可他很雅各，已经连亲人都不要了。你看，拉班够坏的吧？所以上帝在利百加死后，就让他得重病死了，因为上帝不愿意让利百加为哥哥死难过。
Well, back to Jacob, he was just out of the wolf's den of the father-in-law, Laban, but unexpectedly falling into the tiger's mouth, Esau. When you know why these happened from the book of Jasher, you will be shocked by Laban's evil heart. After Laban left Jacob, he went straight home, but he still planned to kill Jacob. So, he sent his confidants to go to Esau and told Esau how bad Jacob was. Esau became angry when he heard it, and immediately led 400 strong men, 5 times more than Jacob's servants, and Esau rushed to kill Jacob. Laban's plan was that when Jacob died, he would be able to take his daughter's family back. Of course, he also knew that in the process of killing Jacob, his daughters and grandchildren may die too, but he was so hatred to Jacob that he had even been willing to lose his own daughters and grandsons. Look, this is how bad Laban was. So, God let him seriously ill and died very soon after Rebekah died, because God didn't want to make Rebekah feel sorry for his brother's death, so waited until God took Rebekah back to heaven.
就算如此，上帝依然祝福拉班的后代，因为他帮助孤雅葛。当初埃及时，埃及王最大的谋士巴兰，根据以色列拉比，就是拉班的后代，而他做的事就是迫害以色列人，最终在上帝让他不得不赞美以色列族后，居然给外邦人出了用米甸女人败坏以色列人，那日死了3万人，大约5%。这是末日方舟中最后一个大挑战，来自女人的诱惑，依然是拉班那样的计谋，所以上帝赐名巴兰，意思是不是上帝的民。好，今天我们就聊到这里，我们下回书细节第9部分也是雅各最危险的地方。以扫怒气灭雅各，天使拦阻镇虎威，决力那人更明傲，礼多谦卑消前仇。谢谢大家收听以诺谈天节目，我们下回见。
Even so, God still blessed Laban's descendants because Laban helped Jacob. By the time of Exodus, Balaam, the king of Egypt's greatest counselor, was, according to Israel's rabbis in the book of Jasher, a descendant of Laban, and he did play an important role to persecute the Israelites. In the end, after God made him praise the Israelites 3 times, Balaam actually told the Gentiles used Midianite women to corrupt the Israelites. 30,000 Israelites died that day, about 5% of overall Israelites at that time. This will be the last big test in the Doomsday Arkansas. The temptation from women was still Laban's scheming. The name Balaam means, not the God's chosen people. Well, we will stop here. Next time we will discuss the 9th part of the book, which is also the most dangerous part for Jacob. Esau was so angered to come to kill Jacob, and the angels stopped this mighty tiger. Wrestling with that man ended with change of Jacob's name, and Jacob humbly himself in front Esau eliminated all his hatred. Thank you for listening to the Enoch Talk Show. See you next time.